Hello my dear students, welcome to the class of 10th English Medium, Social Science, Chapter 15, that is Economic Development, brought to you by Vitan Sir. Now, till now, we have completed 1 to 14 chapters. The first 7 chapters belong to the history point of view. The next 7 chapters, that is from 8 to 14, belong to the geography. And now these 7 chapters belong to the economics and the civics portion of your 10th social science. So chapter 15 is the first chapter in the section of economics, that is economic development. What is economic development? Constant increase in the national income of a country. So here, when the national income of a country increases constantly, we can call that economic development is there. Then increase in the per capita income of a country. Now per capita income of any country, when it also increases constantly, we can say that there is an economic development there. And when the lifestyle or the living standards of the people changes, basically it becomes better, we can say that economic development is there. Now there are three terms which I just used here. Let's see what is the meaning of that. National income means the total income of a country. So the total income of each and every person of a nation, when we make a total of all of them, it becomes the national income. Per capita income is basically dividing the total income of a country with the population of the same nation. That gives us an average income per person of any nation. It is a great measure for comparison. And the living standards, when people get facilities like food, clothing, education, health, etc., we can say that their living standard is good. And then when these facilities also improve, their living standard improves. Okay, so when the national income constantly increases, when the capital income increases, when the living standard improves of the people, we can say that economic development is there. National income of India, let us just look at some figures here. National income of India was 87 lakh 36,039 crores in 2011-12, and in 15-16 it was 1 lakh 1 crore 35 lakh 67,192 crores in 2015 and 16. So that was the national income. Right now we are living in 2020. It has tremendously increased. With the increase of national and per capita income of India, there has been improvements in the facilities. That means with the increase in the national income and per capita income of India, the facilities, the infrastructure facilities have also improved. The requirements of food, clothing, shelter, health, electricity, education, etc. is fulfilled easily. That means in the today's India, these facilities, these requirements are easily fulfilled by the people. That's why we can say that India has seen economic development in recent years. Okay, so since the freedom, we have seen some economic development in India. Let us start with the difference between economic growth, but the word actually used in the textbook is progress, but the actual word is growth. So I am writing both of them to avoid the confusion. So economic growth and economic development, the difference between economic growth and the economic development. Let us make a table for that so that we can remember it easily and write it down properly when we are in the exam. Points of difference: the economic growth, that is progress, and the economic development. So we will start with the first point of difference, that is the process. How or what is the process of growth and development here? This is a quantitative, that means the growth is quantitative, that means the quantities describe the growth. Okay, the kg, the tons, the liters, the money, the amount, etc. quantities, we can describe economic growth with the change in quantity. For example, in the previous slide I just showed you, the national income has increased, so that increase is known as the quantitative change, so that is economic growth. While the economic development is qualitative, it goes over quality instead of quantity. That means it doesn't matter whether our income changes or not, income increases or not, but how we earn that income matters. For example, before we earned 1 lakh rupees per month by working 10 hours a day. Now I just work 6 hours a day and I earn the same amount. That means actually the quantity has not changed, but the quality of my work has changed, that I earn the same money by working 6 hours rather than 10 hours. That means my hours have become more qualitative. So that's economic development. The stage. Now economic growth comes after the development. That means the economic development is the first stage and economic growth is the second stage. First, country sees the economic development and then it observes the economic growth. Third comes the changes. What changes are made? Economic growth usually shows increase in production due to increase in tools. Okay. For example, in a farm of 1 unit, I was producing 1,000 tons. Now I start producing units in 2 units of farm. So I will naturally produce 2,000 tons of production. So it just means that with the increase in tools, I am increasing my production. But in economic development, the tools does not increase. Just like I gave you the example of 10 hours and 6 hours, tools does not increase. The technology changes, the methods changes, the schemes, the skills of people change, and with that the production increases. First, in a 1 unit of farm, I only produce 1,000 tons. Now using the same 1 unit of farm, I can produce 5,000 tons. So that is economic development. So economic development actually depicts the changes in technology and improvement in the quality itself. Nations, economic growth is seen in already developed nations like America or Russia. They don't have economic development. They have already passed through those stages. Right now they have the economic growth, while economic development is seen in the still developing economies like India and Pakistan and Bangladesh and Bhutan and Nepal and etc. countries. The developing nations have economic development and developed nations have economic growth. Features of developing economy. So the nations which are still developing, how can we actually say that okay, they are developing and these are developed? So there are certain features with which we can identify the developing economies. As per the World Development Report of 2004 of World Bank, countries with per capita income less than $735 are categorized as developing nations. Okay, so any nation which has a per capita income yearly less than $735 are categorized as developing nations. India is part of the developing nation, of course. So let us also understand other features of such nations. This is one of the feature, the per capita income. What are the other features of the developing nation? Let us see them one by one. The first feature is less per capita income, as total income is low and population is usually high. The average income of developing nations is less. Okay, so income is low because it is still developing. The population is high, so the average automatically becomes lower than the most countries of the world. Second, population growth. The growth rate of population is usually very high, and that is around 2% in such nations. So developing nations usually face 2% population growth each year. If we talk about India, the population is 130, 140 crores right now, right? So 2% means every year we are actually improving our population by 2.5 crore people. So every year extra 2.5 crore people are added in our population. Agriculture. Main occupation of the developing nation is agriculture. More than 60% population depend on it, with around 26% share in the GDP. Here GDP is the gross domestic product, which is basically national income. So 60%, around 60% population depend on agriculture for the work, and the actual income which they earn is only 26% of the GDP of these nations. I am not particularly talking about India here. This is a general scenario of developing nations. So these are not the data of India. This is a general data. Don't take it as Indian data. Indian data is a bit different. Unequal distribution of income. As you can see in the picture here, that 20% of the richest class has 40% wealth, whereas 20% of the poorest class has only 10% wealth. So there is a huge income difference between the people. Unemployment. Ratio of unemployment is more than 3% of the total labor. Different types of unemployments, examples, seasonal unemployment, disguised unemployment, industrial unemployment, etc. are seen. Period of unemployment is also very long. That means people remain unemployed for a lot of the time. Then they have different types of unemployments. Season wise they become unemployed. They are actually unemployed but they are seen as employed. The percentage of unemployed is also more than 3% in the developing nations. Poverty, a very serious problem. People who cannot satisfy their primary needs like food, clothing and shelter are called poor. It is 1/3 of the population. Usually in the developing nations, 1/3 of the population is considered poor. Dual economy. As you can see in the picture here, one side traditional farming and on the other side chemical and electronic farming shows two sides of the same economy. So in the developing nations, this kind of things are frequently seen. The two sides, the two faces of economy, one traditional handiworks, the second meal works, the one side traditional farming, the second side modern farming. As you can see here, this dual economy is seen in the developing nation. Infrastructure facilities, education, transportation, health, banks, communication, electricity, etc. facilities are unavailable or lacking. They are either not available for the people or they are very less available. As you can see the picture here, as far as you can see, only the slum can be seen. So this is one part of the developing economy where facilities are not available. International trade, that means what we export, what we import, mainly agro products, that is agricultural products or minerals are exported. These products have less demand and low rates, so we earn less. Whereas what we import are machinery and petroleum, which have very high rates. That means we spend so much amount, but we earn so less. Economic and non-economic activity. Whenever you are studying the economics, you need to learn about what are the economic activities and what are the non-economic activities. Let us start with the economic activities. Earning or spending money for the exchange of goods and services is called economic activity. As you can see here, the example for economic activity could be farming, business, teacher, etc. The artist, doctor, nurse, mechanic, farmer, reporter, all of these people are doing some economic activity. They are either earning money or spending money for the exchange of goods and services. We pay them money for their services, they pay money someone else for the goods. So they are either earning or spending for economic activity. So basically the earning purpose is main here for the exchange of goods and services. That is economic activity. Whereas non-economic activity, if we talk about, activities not done with the purpose of earning or reciprocating. That means any activity for which the purpose is not earning or giving something back, it is something done without any kind of money purpose in the mind. The example here is what our mothers do at home. That is a greatest of the example here. Social services, cooking by mother, etc. As you can see, any work done without any reciprocating expectations that if I am doing something, I should get something in return. No, that in non-economic activities, we don't expect anything in return. Structure of Indian economy. Now, I have written Indian economy, but it is not actually just Indian. It is the general structure of any economy of the world, which is usually divided into three parts. The first part is the primary sector. That means the structure of Indian economy or structure of any economy are divided into separate sectors. The first one is the primary sector, the second one is the secondary sector, and the third one is the service sector. Let us understand these sectors one by one. The first sector is primary sector. Agriculture and agriculture related activities like cattle rearing, breeding, fisheries, forest products, mining, etc. All of these activities are part of the primary sector. That means the agriculture and related activities like wood cutting and cattle rearing and fisheries and animal husbandry and forest products and mining and all of these activities which are related with agriculture and agriculture are a part of the primary sector of the Indian or any country's economy. The second is the secondary sector, which basically includes industries, small and large scale industries, factories, construction, electricity, gas, etc. All is the part of secondary sector, and it is therefore also known as the industry sector because maximum industries are the part of the secondary sector. Service sector, also known as tertiary sector, basically includes people who give services. I am not talking about social service, of course. Services like trade, communication, road, rail, air, waterways, health, banking, tourism, education, entertainment, and many more. All of these are the part of the service sector. That's the third sector of any country's economy. Now, if you think about it, there is nothing else left which could be not part of either of these three. The agriculture and related activities are the primary, the industry are the secondary, and the services are the tertiary or the service sector. That means every occupation, every activity which is done in a nation's economy are the part of primary, secondary, and service. Factors of production. Now, we produce things in any economy, and anything which we produce is produced using the factors or the tools of production, and there are four tools of production. The first one is land, the second one is capital, the third one is labor, and the fourth one is entrepreneurship or the entrepreneur. Let us understand each of these factors of production one by one. Land. In economics, it means all the natural resources, including forests, rivers, mountains, minerals, metals. It is a natural tool. So when we talk about land, it is not just the upper crust or the upper layer of the earth. It is everything which is a natural resource, including the forest, the animal resource, the crude oil. Actually, crude oil is also part of the land. Metals, minerals, waters, wind power, solar energy, natural gas, all of these things are the part of land. Why? Because all of these things are the natural. Okay, so this is a natural tool of production because we use these things for the sake of production. Second is the capital. Now, basically, we know that capital means money, but if we talk about economic, man-made tools such as instruments, machines, houses, property, assets, investments, money, etc. All of these things are the part of capital. Not just money, but the machines, houses, property, any assets, anything which you own is a part of your capital. So you need these things for the sake of production. So first thing you need is land. The second thing you need is capital. And the third thing which you need is the labor. And labor basically means people who work. So naturally you need people to work with land and capital. So mental or physical. Now labor is not just physical. It is mental or physical work done with the aim of monetary gain is called labor. It is a living factor of production. This is a factor of production who has life. So land is the natural tool of production, Capital is the man-made tool of production and labor is the living factor of production. Remember these things like this, it is important. And the last, entrepreneurship. Actually, the person who combines all the previous factors. The person who combines land, capital and labor for production is entrepreneur. The person is entrepreneur, and the process of combining land, capital and labor into a production is entrepreneurship. Okay, so entrepreneur is someone who combines the three factors of production for the sake of producing. Entrepreneur is a person who gets ideas, he collects the capital, he utilizes the land, he employs the laborers, he takes the risk, produces and then earns the profits. So that's entrepreneur, and the process of this is known as entrepreneurship. Remember the spelling properly because maximum students get the spelling wrong. Distribution of factors of production. Now we know that land, capital, labor and entrepreneurship are the factors of production. But we also know that human wants are unlimited, but the resources are limited. What human want is usually unlimited, but the resources, for example land or capital or labor, are of course limited, they are not infinite. So what we need to do is that for that purpose resources need to be allocated to most important needs first. We need to allocate resources to the wants which are the most important for human being, for example food, clothing and shelter, and then if any resources are left we can utilize it for other wants. So how to do it? What to do? We will answer these questions as follows. The first thing which we need to do is decide our wants. We need to accept that our wants are unlimited, uncountable. Many wants originate from one want. It happens that sometimes we need something and for needing that we want many other things. Many things are desired from development of science and technology. Many needs are to be fulfilled repeatedly. For example, food is something which we need 3 or 4 times a day. Clothing is something which we need every month or every 6 months or every year. Okay, so these are the needs which we need repeatedly. To fulfill all these wants is impossible. Of course, to fulfill all of the wants of a human being is impossible because basically it is unlimited. So we need the selection of most important wants to be fulfilled, and we need to make. So what to do? We need to create an important order in terms of necessity. We need to create an order. As the resources to satisfy wants are limited, humans need to decide which wants to satisfy first. We need to make a list according to importance of wants, and this list is created according to the priority order. That means what we need first, what we need afterwards. Likewise, an order is created. Whichever need is most important must be satisfied first, and then others. That means whichever need is the most important, most urgent for us, that must be satisfied first, and then comes the others. Limited resources. We know our wants are unlimited, and we have created a list of these wants according to their priority, necessity or important order. Now we know that our resources are also limited. So tools of production are usually natural or man-made. These tools are always limited and thus must be used sparingly, that is as less as possible. To decide the most important wants and then use these tools to satisfy those wants only. That means we need to make a list of the most important wants and we should use these resources to satisfy those wants only, because then there are other people also who are with the most important wants and we need to satisfy all of their most important wants together. So we don't have actually the resources to satisfy the wants which are not that important. And the last point which we need to remember, the alternative use of the resources. That means the resources have their alternative uses. Any tool of production can be utilized for more than one use. It means it has multiple uses or alternative uses. A land, let us take an example, a land can be used for agriculture, pond, industry or residence. But if it is used for one purpose, say agriculture, we can't create a pond, we can't create an industry, or we can't build a home on it. So if a resource is used for one purpose, it cannot be used for other purposes. That means the tools should be utilized to their maximum, keeping in mind their alternative uses. So to satisfy as many wants as possible. So alternative uses of the resources should be kept in mind while utilizing them for the purpose of the satisfaction of the wants. So to satisfy as many wants as possible. Methods of allocation of resources. Now this is one of the most important topics of this chapter. The methods of allocation of resources. We know that we need to allocate the resources, but many countries of the world have developed their own methods of allocation of resources, and the countries follow these methods. The first method is market system. So countries call it it is not a single method, it is a package of systems, that is a market system. So market system is on the one extreme, and the second extreme here, which some other countries have followed, is the socialist system. So market system and socialist systems are actually the opposite ends of a single line. So some countries use market system, some countries use socialist system, and the rest of the countries of the world use a mixture of these two systems known as the mixed system or mixed economy. So basically what we are going to study here are market system, socialist system and mixed economy. Okay, so let us start with market system first to understand what is market system. Market system. It is also known as capitalist system. Nations like America, Japan, etc. have made their development using this system. But that was old news. I mean, before 100 or 200 years they used that capitalist system, but right now they are not using it. In this system, profit is at center. Resources are allocated for the purpose of profit earning. That means the allocation of resources is made with keeping in mind how much profit will be earned. This is a completely free market without any government restrictions. So remember this, that it is a free market. Main element is the competition. It controls market like an invisible hand. So here the element is the competition. That means the market is not governed by government, it is governed by the competition. As to sustain in the market, owner has to improve quality and reduce cost by maximizing resource utilization, new research and methods of production. That means if a owner wants to sustain in a competition, he needs to improve his quality, reduce his cost, and for that he needs to utilize his resources to the maximum. He needs to make new researches and also needs to find out methods of production. Due to lack of government restriction, this is also called free economy. Okay, remember this. Now, let us study the features of market mechanism system. First one, ownership of resources of production is either individual or private. That means the resources, the production is done by any individual or private companies. It is not done by government. The profit is at the center of economic activities. That means anyone who is working for only profits and nothing else. Consumers get good opportunity of choice because everyone is producing more, everyone is competing with each other and trying to appease the consumers, because only by appeasing the consumers can they get the profits. So consumers get a good opportunity of choice of goods. Government interference is not there in this system. As this is a free economy or free market economy, there is no government interference in this system. Distribution of resources is based on profit. Land, capital, labor and entrepreneurship, everything is done keeping in mind how to earn maximum profits and nothing else. It doesn't care about society, it doesn't care about social service, it doesn't care about public welfare. Everything it cares about is profit. Last is economic decisions are taken while keeping price mechanism in mind. That means the prices, based on the changes in prices, based on the pricing policies, the economic decisions are taken. Benefits, what are the advantages, what are the benefits of this system? First one, economic freedom of individual is protected in market system. That means every individual is economically free to produce what he wants, to decide what he wants, to choose what he wants, because there is no government restriction. Resources of production are utilized to the greatest extent and efficiency. Because profit is at the center, producers try to reduce their cost, and to reduce the cost, the minimum resources are to be utilized to the maximum, because if you use less resources, you will need less cost. If you use more resources, you will need to incur more costs. So because the profit is at the center, the resources are utilized to the maximum. Abundant production may be done, because everyone wants to earn profits by the production of goods and services. The production is actually done abundantly, that is without any restrictions, with a huge quantity. New explorations keep on taking place continuously in economy, because cost cutting, easy production methods, high profits, new methods, new skills, new systems are to be researched for the purpose of profit maximization, and as a result economic development becomes faster. Quality of things improve because of competition. Now of course, if there is a single person, he is not afraid of losing his customers, so he might not maintain his quality. But in his place, if 10 shops are there side by side, they need to attract customers, they need to maintain the quality, because if they don't, customers might go to some other person. So due to competition, the quality of things improve. Nothing is best, everything has its limitations. So the limitations of market mechanism system: because of keeping profit in the center of production, commodities are produced in more quantity, and production of luxurious commodities of basic requirements is neglected or reduced. That means because the profit is at the center, naturally the goods which are luxurious always earn more profit. A kg of salt and a kg of say kesar, naturally kesar has more profits than the salt. Okay, so people try to produce luxurious goods like furniture and high quality. Just take an example of a simple mobile phone and a iPhone. Naturally the profits in iPhone is huge, while a simple mobile phone of 5 or 6,000 doesn't earn that much profits. So producers try to go for luxurious goods and they avoid the basic necessities. Because of lack of policy, natural resources are wasted, because there is no actual policy about how to utilize the resources, in which sector to utilize the resources. So resources are sometimes wasted for useless purposes like producing useless goods rather than for the production of the basic necessities. Due to lack of knowledge and ignorance about the market, consumers are exploited. Here consumer exploitation is in a huge quantities, because government is not restricting anyone from doing any malpractices, doing any bad things. So consumers are exploited, because if the producers make a team, make a group, and they want to exploit the consumers, there is no one who will help the consumers in this case. Due to centralization of property and income, there is increase in disparity of income. As the property and the production is centralized in the hands of the producers, there is an increase in the disparity of income, that is the inequality of income. So these are some major limitations of the market mechanism system. Last one is there is a fear of monopoly, instability and exploitation of labor. Monopoly means every power lies in the hand of a single producer. So that is a monopoly, and when there is only a single producer, he can charge as high as prices he want. He can put his own terms and conditions which no one can refuse. Labors could be exploited, economic instability could be there. These are some of the major limitations of the market mechanism system. Next is the second method of allocation, that is socialist system. Socialist system is the opposite of market system. As I told you guys earlier, it was created from the drawbacks and failures of free economy. That means whatever the negative points, the limitations of market mechanism system was there, to remove it, the socialist system was created. Russia and China have attained economic development through this system. State on, what is the main thing of socialist system? That state on all the factors of production and all decisions of market are taken by state. Here state means government, okay, don't misunderstand. State means government. That means everything is owned by government, everything is done by government, every decision is taken by the government. That means in the market mechanism, government was nil, while socialist system, government is everything. Here the main aim is social welfare. In the market mechanism, the production was done with the profit, while in the socialist system, production and resources are utilized with the purpose of social welfare. Remember that. Production, prices, distribution, consumption, etc. is controlled by the state, that is by the government. Farming, industries, service, everything is owned and managed by government itself. That means government does everything, and sometimes people are just the puppets of the government. Workers get work depending on their abilities, and what they work, accordingly they get paid. That means workers get paid, or they get work depending on their own ability. There is no window dressing here, there is no ill information here. Whatever is done from the government, and government takes all the decisions, government controls everything. So basically China or Russia. Features of socialist system, or the characteristics of the socialist system: everything is owned by the state, all decisions are taken by the state, social welfare is the center of economic activity. That means any activity is done not for the profit but for the society. Laborers are paid wages in return of work. That means whatever they are working, in return they are paid the wages. So everyone is actually a laborer, no one is an owner in the socialist system, because government is the only owner. So government is kind of monopoly, you can say that. Benefits, of course benefits are there, because production is done for the requirement of society. The unimportant and the luxurious items are not produced or produced less. Everything is produced for the society. That's the, the best of the governments. It's not always the situation, but let us just go with the benefits. As the decisions related to production are taken by the state, no wastage of resources there. That means because government takes the policies, takes the decisions, the resources are not wasted. Disparity of income and property is removed. That means the income disparity, someone earning so high and rest of them not earning at all, is removed. Everyone earns based on their ability alone. Nothing else is allowed. At the last, consumers are not exploited, because government takes the decision, and government puts in the market what is best for the consumers. So naturally they are not exploited. But with benefits, there are always limitations. If market mechanism has some limitations, then socialist system also has some limitations. The first one, because everything is owned by the state, people are not encouraged or motivated to increase production. Why produce when nothing is mine? People produce more when they feel that, okay, if I produce more, I will earn more profits. Right now everything is produced by government. If people are just employed with the government, so they will not get any motivation. Just like you can know the government employees who get the fixed salaries. So sometimes when you go into the banks, most of them are sleeping. Okay, in not all the banks, but majority. Due to lack of competition, contest and research do not get momentum in the economy because government has the monopoly and it does everything, and because people have no advantage in doing any extra work, they don't research new things, they don't have competition, they don't try to find new methods of production to make a better quality goods because they have no motivation to do that, because if they do that they are not getting anything extra out of it. There is a lack of individual freedom because everything is owned, controlled, managed by government. No individual is free. And last one, because of complete interference of state, there is a fear of bureaucracy. Here bureaucracy means basically power lying in the hands of officers, something what has been going on today in many countries of the world. That bureaucracy is that nothing gets done without giving bribes to officers in power. So that's kind of bureaucracy. I will not discuss more here. You know, they will take me to jail, something like that. Mixed system or the economy. Now this is a mixture of market mechanism and socialist. If you just imagine a line in your head, the leftmost part of the line is market system and rightmost part of the line, the right side point, is socialist system, and everything which is in the center is the mixed system, which is a mixture and an efficient mixture, if I try to say, of market and the socialist systems. So it is also known as controlled economy system. Now remember this controlled economy system, many times a 1 mark question is asked about this. Nations like India, France, Britain follow this system, and if I talk about today, even America follows right now this mixed economic system. It used to follow the capitalist system, the market mechanism system, but today it is also following the mixed system. This system attempts to combine positive and removes negative points of both, that is market and social systems. That means the objective of mixed economy is to combine the positive points and remove the negative points of both market and socialist systems. Here public and private sector, here public sector means government, private sector means private people, individuals, they coexist and complement each other. That means they both try to work together. In some sectors where government can't do things, private sector takes up the task. In some interior areas, if private sector can't reach, government establishes industries there. So they coexist and try to help each other out in the development of the economy. In agriculture, trade and consumer goods, etc., public or private owners, whereas heavy industries, defense, roads, railways, etc., is in hand of government. That means usually agriculture, trade, consumer goods, etc., are produced by government and the private individual both together, whereas the heavy industries, the defense equipments, the roads and railways are undertaken by the government only. You can take an example of India because India is a part of mixed system. So you know the defense equipments, roads, railways are actually done by the government, whereas regular agriculture is done by farmers, trade, consumer goods are produced by both private as well as public companies. Market is partially controlled by government, okay, not fully controlled, but a partial control is there, and the control is for stopping unwanted industries through heavy taxes and to motivate basic industries in backward areas through subsidy. That means government does control the market, but the objective of government is to stop the unwanted industries, the industries which are not actually required, which waste the resources and they are levied heavy taxes. And government also motivates the basic industries in backward areas through giving them subsidy. So here the role of government is to just watch over the market and not to interfere too much, and also not to let it be totally free. So a moderate control is kept over market by the government. Now let us see the features of mixed economy. First one, it combines the market and social systems into a better system. Second, there is a coexistence of private and public sectors. Third, the moderate control of government over market is seen. Fourth, the economic planning is done for economic decision making. So unlike market system where profit was at the center and socialist system where social welfare was at the center, in mixed economy, economic decision making and economic planning is at the center where both aspects are taken into consideration, the profit and the social welfare. The benefits, let's see what are of the mixed economy system. It has benefits of both market and social systems, and it is remove the limitations of market and social systems. It gives freedom of competition but keeps control over monopoly. Means competition is there but monopoly is controlled. It gives maximum countries of the world today follow mixed system with their own variations. That means maximum countries of the world does not follow only market or social system, rather they mixed both the components into a mixed economy but with their own variations. Some countries going towards a bit of a market system while other countries going towards a bit of a socialist system. As benefits are there, limitations are there also, so we should learn them also. The first is the frequent economic instability. The economic instability is seen in this mixed economic kind of a system. Just take an example of India. India is not an economically stable country. We have seen so many instabilities. The rises and falls in the Sensex is one of the example. Huge lack of coordination between private and public organizations. Even in India and in some other countries, the private and public organization, the government and the private individuals are still not good with coordination. They are not working together properly. The economic policies are inconsistent. You know, there used to be a planning commission in India till 2014. If you see the planning commissions, there were a total of around 13 planning commissions, the 13th one going on in the 2014. And each of them planning commission had some weird objectives. For example, eradication of poverty was common since 60 years. Since 60 years, they used to just keep on going with the objective of eradication of poverty, eradication of poverty. I mean, till 60 years, they couldn't eradicate the poverty at all. So actually, the economic policies which are created are inconsistent. Okay, sometimes they go for one thing, sometimes they go for another thing, sometimes they ban import of golds, other times they reduce the duty on import of gold, sometimes they ban Coca-Cola and Pepsi, and nowadays they are giving advantages and more motivation for Coca-Cola and Pepsi to sell their products in India. I mean, there is no consistency in the policies of economics. Growth rate of economic development is lower. Yes, the growth rate of economic development is quite lower in these kinds of economy because it is not completely market mechanism and not completely socialist. Okay guys, so with this I will end my tutorial here because this is the end of the chapter. I have prepared a video which just covers some basic points of this chapter and you might find it interesting, so it will come after this particular slide. So with this I end today, and next time we will meet again with the next chapter, that is chapter 16. Till then, stay tuned, stay home and stay safe. But before that, let us check out one more point. Different mix of both systems in different countries. That means this is a limitation. Not everywhere the same kind of mix is seen. Okay. So stay tuned, stay home and stay safe.